Are we back? Are we back live? I think we are. Well, we're not live, but this is Baitman Raw. It's been a few weeks, and it's time for another episode. And I have a very special guest this week, and some of you guys may know him, some of you may not. His name is Brent Homan, and he's from Texas. He's a good friend of a friend, and the friend I'm talking about is Kelly Jordan, who is currently fishing the Major League Fishing Heavy Hitters. Made it to the knockout round, so congrats, KJ. But his friend Brent is very special. He's a veteran. He's a Purple Heart recipient, and it's kind of special to receive the Purple Heart and still be living. And you'll learn a little bit about that on this podcast as you listen. Brent has an awesome story. It's a great story of perseverance, determination, and just a love for fishing. And he was injured overseas, almost killed by IED, and he lost vision in one of his eyes. He had some memory loss, but he just took life head on, and he has hit the fishing scene head on, and he's going to fish the opens. And I learned a lot by talking to him on this podcast. And I really respect our veterans, our military, anybody involved in any branch of the armed forces, National Guard. And the National Guard was a huge supporter of bass fishing for a long time, especially in the FLW days. Justin Lucas was a FLW pro that was sponsored by National Guard. I had a good friend named Adam Locke that was a National Guard co-angler on the FLW tour. So, I'm a big supporter of our police. They have tough jobs. They're criticized a lot. And right now is the time, I'm not going to get on a political rant. Right now is just the time for us to go fishing together. You know what I mean? Let's get our minds clear and get back to the basics. Let's just go wet a line, try to catch a bass, play with some baits. If that's what you like to do, just go test your baits. I'm not going to get into the stuff that's going on in the world today. You can form your own opinion on that. I'm just going to be really honest, guys. Treat people as you want to be treated. Life will be very easy if you remember that. But that said, this is Baitman Raw, and we're going to talk some bass fishing. We're going to talk a little bit about baits, but I really want you guys to hear this story of Brent's. And I just couldn't say anything for a little bit. I mean, my tongue was kind of tied. This was actually my first conversation with him outside a few text messages. And dude, this guy is salt of the earth. I'm not going to waste your time listening to me talk. But I must give a nice plug to 6 Cents Fishing. As always, use my code BAITMAN for 10% off your order. Or if you decide you want one of those Super 6 sacks that comes to your door every month, use my code BAITMAN Super 6 with the number 6, and you'll get $10 off your first subscription sack. So, with that said, let's hear it from Brent Homan. I've got my new friend, Mr. Brent Homan, on the other line. Brent, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, sitting in my boat garage, just prepping my stuff to get ready to leave, roll out on Friday.
Well, I'm sitting in my garage. I don't have a boat. I've just got a large amount of tackle surrounding me. You got that thing full of tackle or what?
Well, it's got a light load right now because I kind of know what I want to do when I get there. But I have an abundant amount of tackle, extra tackle that I'm taking too. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah. Well, the audience won't be able to because Baitman Raw, it's audio only. But okay. I can only imagine what you got over there, especially knowing you rep the Scum Frog. They sent my son Baitman Jr. a bunch of frogs, and that's his favorite thing now. It's scum frog. Anytime we go into a store, he's got to see the scum frogs.
Yeah, they're their new frogs are. I've been testing them for a while, and the trophy and the launch series, launch frog, they're unreal. They straight up catch them. And if I wasn't sponsored by them, man, I would say the exact same thing. I mean, they stick them. They're really really good.
And they've been around for a long time. There's a lot of frogs and companies that get a lot of glory, but the old scum frog is a good seller, and it's a great bait, and you don't have to pay an arm and a leg for it.
That's right. And it's made in America.
That's right. So speaking of made in America, you got a little video out there, and for the people who haven't tuned in, I will link it in the description of this video. And it's your story, just a small snippet of into Brent Homan, his career, and his background, and you received Purple Heart for your service. So, Brent, you got a really unique story. We all love fishing, but you served us in the military, and you had an accident with the IED. Kind of talk and walk us through that, and what kind of led you right here to this whole fishing thing.
So it's kind of funny that we're doing this today, because today's June 9th. Okay. Tomorrow's June 10th is the actual day when I got hurt in 2007.
Wow.
So I mean, it's fresh in my mind right now. And, I used to dread this day. But I celebrate this day because I'm alive and I'm able to share my story. June 10th, I was hit by an IED on a night patrol that we were going out to secure some engineers that were ironically filling in IED holes. So on my way out there, I had called up back to headquarters and was trying to find out where I needed to link up with the platoon, the other section I was supposed to be replacing. And I had a handheld GPS because my GPS didn't work inside my Bradley. So I just popped up out of my hatch on the above the turret. I had sniper glass completely around my hatch. And I just had my right hand right next to my right eye, head level. And the ID went off. And I got knocked unconscious for about 15 to 30 seconds. And then when I came to, my thumb was hanging off, and I had a deathly look of terror sitting next to me in my gunner. He was just wide-eyed, and pretty much I knew something was wrong. Long story short, he instantly saw my blue eyes, my right eye turned to completely black. And that's what he saw first, and that's when we knew it was something serious. So I climbed out of the back of the Bradley, and they called the medevac out and put me on a chopper, and then sent me back for emergency surgery, where they tried to save my eye. The surgeon actually said that they thought they could be able to save my eye but lose my thumb. I didn't like that idea. I needed my thumb. I told the doctor exactly how I felt, and not so many choice words. But ironically, I did lose my eye, and I cut half my thumb.
Wow.
So,
I'm just soaking it all in here. I have the utmost respect to our veterans and those who are currently serving. We forget just how lucky we have it here in the United States for our freedoms and our rights, and guys like you and many, many others out there, and the ones who have paid the ultimate price. We just had Memorial Day. Matter of fact,
yes, sir.
I believe the anniversary of D-Day was what, Sunday?
June 6th. Yep.
Yeah. And if it wasn't for those people, I couldn't do this podcast.
We'd all
I
be
couldn't
speaking
go.
German.
I couldn't go fishing. I couldn't collect all these baits. I always want to go fishing with, and they just end up hanging in here. So, man, that's crazy. So, had you always been into fishing, or was it something that was kind of therapy for you after your incident?
So growing up, the earliest I remember is going to Minnesota. I think I was 4. I talked to my dad when they did that Scum Frog video, and they said it was Father's Day weekend, 1984, when I went to Minnesota, and that's my earliest memory of going fishing. So it started at an early age, and I was the youngest of 3 brothers, and I was the only one that really got into fishing. Like, I loved it. I dreamt about fishing. I fished in my sleep. It was something that has always been where I could go and have fun and relax and feel safe. But going fast forward to my injury, there was a lot of unknown questions after I got hurt. What I could do, what I couldn't do, what they told me I couldn't do. And I'm kind of hard headed. I'm a Taurus. So I don't like people telling me what I can't do.
That just makes you want to go do it more, right?
So my goal in life was to prove everybody wrong. They said I'd never move my wrist. Well, I have almost 100% function, even though it's all rebuilt with metal rods, pins, and screws. And it's a partial fuse. So I have as much mobility in my wrist as I possibly can due to my injuries. And so fishing was the one place I could go to get outside and feel safe and just, let it all go, because you'll heal more outside in God's world than you can in any hospital room, mentally and physically. And it was just mentally and physically, it was rehab for me because, man, I mean, without fishing, I would not be here. It was something where I knew I could go and feel safe and still enjoy life and be excited about life, because there's times during my process of healing where I wasn't thrilled about life.
Absolutely. I can totally understand where you're coming from. And that's one thing I'll agree with you. It doesn't matter to me as far as, what kind of things people go through and stuff like that. People that they kind of get into fishing, it's not, I kind of come from a tournament background and stuff like that. But to me, in its purest form, just getting on the water or getting on the bank, whether it's a pond, a lake, or wherever, it's just a way to kind of suppress some demons, free your mind, and it's just you, the water, God's country, and if you're blessed enough, catch a few fish, and it's a euphoric feeling too when you put that all together, whether it's a tournament day or not. It's just figuring out a piece of the puzzle, and it's good for your mind. It exercises your brain. My dad had a really bad stroke. It'd be 11 years, or I believe 11 years ago next month. And, the one thing he always constantly done, and, doctor said, hey, you're not going to live 50-50 chance you even wake up after this. He was ready to fish as soon as he woke up. He had to teach himself how to walk and stuff again. But I really feel like because he was just motivated to be able to get out there and do a little fishing, it helped his recovery. Now, he's not perfect or anything, and his mobility is very limited now, as part of it's because he's up in age. But, anytime I'm just, life gets at you or whatnot, just grab a pole, I'll walk to a pond, do a few casts, it makes the guy heal really, really quickly. It's just a passion that I think many of my viewers share as well.
I totally agree. And, when I got hurt, I had a pretty severe brain injury. As you know, Kelly Jordan's one of my best friends.
Well, I apologize. He's a good guy. I'm just messing, KJ. If you're listening, you know you're one of my favorite people on earth, and he's the guy that said, "Hey, man, you need to do a podcast with Brent Homan. He's a great guy, got an awesome story." And matter of fact, I was watching Major League Fishing today, and Kelly, he's in the top 10 in the elimination round. He's going to move on, so I'm excited for him.
Sixth, I think. I think he finished sixth.
Yeah, it's a big fish tournament kind of deal, and that's what he needs, man. KJ, he is a big fish extraordinaire.
Yeah, he is. Yes, he is. But he's pretty much been my mentor. He's helped me along the way. He's the one that convinced me to do the Bassmaster Opens. He has shown me the inner workings of how the bass industry works, and he's just been so instrumental with me in the bass tournament scene. And I can't thank him enough. He's like you said, he always introduces me to everybody he knows. I mean, if we're at the same event, we're always together. And he just introduces me. He's like, "Hey, this is my blown up one-eyed friend." And it's not awkward. It's just what it is. I mean,
yeah,
he's just that way. And I'm just like, "Yep, hi, I'm Cyclops." You know, it just, if it's awkward for the other person, I'll make a joke about it, because you can't make fun of yourself. Who can you make fun of? Oh
yeah, I know how it is. So next time you see KJ, I got to get him on a podcast. You say I heard I did a podcast with Helmet Boy. He'll just start laughing. He'll know what you're talking about. He gave me that nickname, but same way, we would be. And then this was a Toyota Texas Bass Classic. He just won this big deal inaugural tournament. Yep. And he's like, hey, come walk with me. I'm going to introduce you to people. And he's talking to people that have tons of money. They're big time in the fishing. And hey, this is my friend. His name's Helmet Boy. And then he'd have to tell a story, and they're all laughing. But that's just how he is. And he's been really good to me since I've been actually first met him at a gas station here in Benton. But he's been really good to me since I've been about 18 or 19 years old. And it really was because I parked next to him at a gas station. He parked next to me. I didn't know him. And he walked over to my boat, and he goes, "Man, those are really good spinnerbaits right there." And I had some War Eagle spinnerbaits tied on. I said, "Yeah, I've been catching a few fish on them." And I looked at him. I said, "Aren't you Kelly Jordan?" He said, "Yeah, that's me." I said, "Yeah, your name's on the back of those packages." And he just laughed. He said, "Like I said, they're pretty good spinnerbaits." And from then on, long story short, he said, "Well, I'm heading up to Mike Otten's place." And I said, "Really?" And I said, I work there part time. And he said, "No kidding." He said, "Well, I don't know how to get there." So I showed him. And after that, we've been friends. But I believe Kelly is one of the good guys in the sport, no doubt. And a lot of people don't realize that dude is really smart. Like, if you did an Elite Series poll of the smartest fishermen or Major League Fishing or just all in general, tour level guys, I think he'd be in the top 5.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he knows. I mean, it's just, if you ever hang around KJ, you do not need to be in a hurry.
No.
Because he's going to talk to people, and it's not going to be a short conversation. He's going to talk to them. And he's genuine. It's just, he knows, he just talks. And sometimes I'm in awe just listening to him, because, I used to be smart till I got hit in the head. Now I can't remember anything. But that's just what happens when you get hit in the head really hard. But
yeah, if you're around KJ and he ever pulls out the cell phone and says, "Let me show you this," go ahead, get a chair. You'll be there for a while.
You know the same KJ I do.
Well, let's talk about you a little bit, Brent. You said you're going to fish the opens. Which opens are you fishing this year? I mean, we're getting back to fishing this whole Sea Void 19 things. Really, yeah. I just kind of want to forget this. I want to get back to fishing. What opens are you fishing? What tournament are you getting ready to go to?
So the first two, I'm fishing the Centrals Bassmaster Opens as a pro. The first two was postponed to the back end of the year which was Louisville and Neely Henry in Alabama. But this one I'm gearing up for is the Arkansas River in Muskogee, Oklahoma.
It's a pretty famous fishery. It's been a lot of big tournaments there. It's a very popular fishery too.
It is, and I thoroughly enjoy going there. I have some history on it, and this year I'm ready. I mean I've been doing as much fishing as I can, trying to stay sharp. So I quit fishing the Opens back at the end of the 2017 season because my youngest son was born, and I'm a stay-at-home dad. So it was an easy choice to stay home and take care of my kids and take a break from fishing. But gosh, have I missed it. And I am so excited to get back after it.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm with it too. I got 2 kids and they're rarely. We just talked before we started recording this. They're almost the same age. A little girl that's 2, a boy that's 7. He'll be 8 in January. And I love them to death, man. But I gotta have a break every now and then. And it right now it's almost prime time on the Tennessee River where I live. We're big on that offshore fishing here.
Okay.
But I think so many people are kind of ready to break out or shell, depending on where they live, what they've been able to do and not been able to do. But what I have noticed is fishing seems to be a little bit on the rise. This whole thing has got people out of the house. It's got new people introduced to the sport.
It's got families. Families are fishing.
Yes, and I feel that's very important. My wife doesn't fish with me very often, but she likes to mess around with me on the bait stuff and my YouTube stuff, and she's been very encouraging. And now that my son wants to get involved, and every now and then my little girl, she's like, "I want to go on the bait show, Daddy. I want to go on the bait show." It's cool. I like the fact that more families are now involved than before. Because what are you going to do? Tell your kid, "No, we're not going to go fishing. I'm just going to sit on the recliner." I mean, some people do that. That's okay too, but it's hard to turn down them kids when they want something. And me, if they want to go fishing, that's what we're going to do.
Well, my son just went fishing when we got home from swimming lessons. He was like, "Can I go fishing?" I'm like, "Go up, get after it. Go ahead." So he's ate up with it.
Now that we're talking about fishing, so what would you consider your strengths as a fisherman, Brent? Are you a power fisherman or are you a finesse fisherman? I'm shallow water guy?
Shallow water guy. I love shallow water. I'm a shallow water guru. If I'm flipping and pitching, punching, ripping a chatterbait, a bladed jig, I mean, that's my kind of fishing. I mean, 6 foot or less, that's where I prefer to live.
That's like the total opposite of me, just so you know. Like 6 foot is like really shallow to me. Like I like to play the offshore game now. I actually do enjoy fishing shallow. It's just where I live. It's different, man. We have all these ledges and offshore stuff, and those fish kind of live out there. But there's a window of the year or windows in the year that shallow water game plays off. I really love one things, and I've been buying a bunch of them. I love throwing a shallow flat side crankbait. That's one of my favorite things to do. And I like flipping and pitching because I don't get to do it as often.
Right.
So when we get those windows where, man, it's on, it's time to go flipping, dude, I love it. I mean, there's nothing like it. But
frog fishing too. I mean, that's anytime the water gets above 60. I mean, you can catch a frog all day long. I mean, I've been catching a lot of frog fish here lately on the new scum frogs.
Yeah, man, they're pretty legit. Like they sent Bait Junior, my son, like a whole box full of the new stuff. Number one, they look good. They got a good hook in them.
Yeah,
and they work great.
Yeah, it's really, I'm thoroughly impressed with how well they actually work. I mean, the weight transfer system, scum frogs have always been good, but you couldn't cast them. You couldn't cast them. but now they got the weight system in the back with the tungsten weight, and I mean you can launch them. I mean, even the trophy series, the smaller scale down from the launch series, you can still launch them.
Yeah, and I want to give a little credit here to Justin Sword over at American Bait Works. He's been on the podcast before. Great guy. What he's doing with some of those companies, NetBait, Scumfrog, you'll probably see it in Snag Proof and Freedom Tackle. He's doing a great job, not just developing products, but American Bait Works. They do a little Facebook Live once a week with JT Kenny. Doing a great job marketing and kind of redeveloping some of those brands that I think a few people forgot about.
Absolutely.
And that doesn't mean they were bad companies or bad brands. It's just that sometimes everybody's so hype on the brand new stuff or this Japanese bait here or this crazy color here. And I mean, hey, I'm a 6th Sense guy and they take care of me. They make great baits, but they're awesome in marketing. And I think what Justin's doing, he's seeing these other companies and their marketing, and he's going to the next level with this because he's got good products.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you this: NetBait will be a huge player for me at the Arkansas River. I'm not going to tell you what bait until after, but it's going to be. I'm going to be using NetBait.
I mean, anyone can say what they want to, but every angler I know, they've got some pack of craws or pack of chunks somewhere stuffed in their boat.
You're absolutely right.
I mean, I've been in the boat with the who's who, and I promise you, they're in there somewhere, and they pull them out. I mean, people can always be sponsored by whoever, but everyone's got some net bait laying around.
You're dang right. I mean, I used them before I was, with American Bait Works. So they're good. I mean, they're good, but I don't want to give away too much because we
won't give away your secrets, especially right here before the tournament or whatnot. So, what about Neely Henry? You got any experience on that, or is that going to be kind of a new body of water to you?
That's a wild card. I've been on, Gunnersville. I've been on Logan Martin. I've been on Lay, but I've never been on Neely Henry. I've been on, the rest of the opens are on Rayburn, Louisville, Arkansas River, but Neely Henry is going to be a wild card. But if it fishes anything like the Coosa River body does, I mean, I should be able to find something.
That's just not me personally. I've only filmed some stuff there on those bodies of waters. I've never really got to fish them much.
Yeah.
The Coosa River is very unique. Now you're talking about some Magnum spotted bass.
Oh, dude, phenomenal. I fished an open on Logan Martin and I fell in love with those Coosa River spots.
Yeah. I mean, smallmouth are mean. Don't get me wrong. And I love catching smallmouth.
Yep.
But those spotted bass, there's something very special about them.
Yes, sir.
Now, Brent, you're in Oklahoma, correct?
I'm in Texas.
Texas. Okay. I'm sorry. Don't want to offend anybody that's in Oklahoma or Texas. But there is a species of bass there in Texas, a Guadalupe bass. Have you ever caught one of those?
I have. Down in LBJ Lake.
And that is Lady Bird Johnson?
Yes. Landon Johnson Reservoir.
I get a lot of people on these podcasts, and I know a lot of people, and it seems to me, Oklahoma and Texas, if you want to be a fisherman outside of the state of Alabama, that's the place to be. There's a lot of versatility in there. And so if you want to fish the opens or aspire to be a bass pro, this seems like a great place to live because there's a lot of different variety.
Yes. I mean, there's some good smallmouth lakes in Texas. And, you think of Texas, hot, Florida strand, largemouth. But, man, there's some big smallmouth in Texas.
Yeah, and I think Texoma, I believe, in Oklahoma has some big smallmouth as well.
Yep. I was just there not too long ago. So
I've kind of heard, and I don't know if you fish there very often, but I've kind of heard through the rumor mill that Amistad is coming back pretty good.
It's on the rise, yes, sir. A lot of people aren't talking about it, but it is coming back. But they're drawing it down right now to keep Falcon full.
Dude, Falcon in the heyday was a magical place, and so was Amistad. That's kind of when I started kind of getting into the swim bait thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'd filmed a show with Kelly, a Classic Patterns there on Lake Fork, and he's hammering them on that Storm swim bait. Just a cheap, you buy them in a 3-pack.
The wild eye.
Yeah.
Oh, it still catches them at Fork.
Yeah, I think the color was called Bunker. Bunker. It looks like a barfish.
Yep.
And then a couple of years later, or maybe just a year later, all of a sudden you got Rabanus and Steve Kennedy smashing with Amistad on that Bass Pro swim bait. And they kind of
the Osprey.
Yeah, and the Osprey. And all of a sudden you look now, everybody's throwing swim baits. East Coast, West Coast, up north, down south. Dude, I got a wall full of them. I'm not the best swim bait fisherman, but I got a problem buying them because if you throw them long enough, you know what eats them. And everyone always thought Byron Velvick was crazy because he's throwing these big swim baits, the Jerry Rago swim baits and stuff he used. And then now, like, he would be the cat's meow on the Elite Series. That's what people want to see. They want to see these guys throwing big baits and stuff. And it kind of proved that, man, they'll eat these things, especially in a tournament.
Yes, sir. Yeah. I was just looking, I had a buddy come over today, and I showed him my Mega Bass side swimmers. Not my Mega Bass, but the Depths side swimmers that I got. He was like, golly.
Yeah, I've got a few of those.
The big ones.
Old Lee Livesey, he likes that side swimmer. He likes those big glide baits too. He's another Lake Fork guy. And it's crazy. When I filmed KJ, this is what kills me. You get on these swim bait forums on the internet, and you've got to have this $500 reel and this $500 rod and all this. Yeah. And dude, if Steve Kennedy catches 130 pounds on an old Shimano Corrado and Kistler flipping stick, KJ's throwing some old Mitchell reel and Fenwick rod throwing the Storm Bunker and jacking 6 to 8 pounders. I'm kind of like, those are the equipment's nice, but at the end of the day, if you're not around them, it doesn't really do any good.
Yep.
But Brent, tell us some other stuff about you fishing wise. A lot of people may not know, or you want to get out there. It seems like you got several sponsors backing you this year. As you fish the opens, I know you're a Skeeter Yamaha guy. I'm a big fan of that. I owned a Skeeter ZX225 back in the day with the Yamaha, and dude, I loved it.
Yeah, that was one of the best platform fishing tournament boats that Skeeter ever made, I think. But yeah, I'm running the Skeeter FXR, the new FXR this year, the 20-footer. And, I've ran a lot of Skeeter boats, and this is the best thoughtful laid out boat that I've been in for the tournament angler. It's just, everything flows. It's a fast boat powered by that 250 Yamaha. I'm getting about 74, 75 top end, fully loaded. So it's a fast boat. It's a really, really wide boat. It's the widest boat they've made. Mm-hmm. And it's a good rough water boat. I mean, it's like driving a Cadillac. It's hard to explain unless you actually get in here and feel it.
Well, the cool thing is, I have been in one several times now. I filmed Mark Menendez for his local TV show. Matter of fact, I was working on a little bit of that this morning, editing wise. And when he switched to the FXR, my job got really easy because that sucker is wide and
smooth.
It fools me because I'm up on the deck filming a lot, and I like to move around, and I don't want to just shoot somebody's butt all day. And I'm gonna, shoot from the side and all that. And his other boat he had, I was already used to. Well, if I step right here, I'm about to fall off, and then he'd be like, "You're good. You got like 2 foot behind you." or you're okay. You're not getting close to the gun on the boat. It's so much wider. You know, I'm not sponsored by any boat company whatsoever, but to film out of and to fish, I've got to actually do some fishing with him. Dude, it's totally different than the boat he had before. I think he just had a regular FX21 or something like that.
Yeah, which is a good boat. But I mean, they did their homework on this boat. I was just talking about it the other day, and I mean, they thought about it.
Mm-hmm.
They designed this boat. They did.
Yeah, you know, a lot of other, you know, I live in Ranger country, make no doubt about it. But I've always kind of liked to live a little on the edge. So I always clung to the skeeters. And part of that, you know, I worked for Mike Otten. He was a skeeter guy. And then,
Yep.
you know, I'd been in Kelly several times. So when it got time to where I actually had a little money and was single and didn't have kids and all that several years ago, you know, that was the boat I wanted. I wanted a skeeter. And, for me, the fishing I did offshore at the time, was it the best offshore boat? Probably not. Had nothing to do with the ride. You know, the nose would catch a little wind, but that shallow water fishing, I don't think there's a better boat out there than a Skeeter.
I'd agree.
It's got a wide deck. The gunnels aren't real high, so if you like to flip and pitch, you're not banging stuff off the gel coat all the time. And one thing, I just enjoy driving them. They turn good. They got good speed. You know, they're not a Bullet or a Allison. But I will tell you, if the water's rough and you need to get somewhere, a Skeeter outrides a lot of boats really quick.
Yeah. There's no problem getting to where you want to go. So yeah, lure lock is new for this year. Power pole, crank wraps. I don't know if you. A lot of people don't know about crank wraps.
Yeah, man, I've got a few. It's a really cool concept. If you want to, just tell us a little bit about the crank wraps and what are some baits you like putting them on.
So I throw a lot of 1.5s, square bills, and you know, I got a lot of old ones. I was with Strike King forever, so I got a lot of old 1.5s, and man, they're beat up, they're rough, but that doesn't matter with these crank wraps because they're spit and image wraps. So the way I like to explain it is, when you get your boat wrap, it goes right on and doesn't come off until you pull it off. Mm-hmm. And it's durable. It doesn't scratch unless, I mean, it will scratch if you run into trees and docks and such. But these wraps are just like a wrap for your boat. They're pre-cut for the crankbait that you want to put them on. And if they're not pre-cut for the crankbait that you want to put them on, all you have to do is trace them with a wet erase marker. You don't want to use it permanent because you're going to trace it and then cut it. And then you just wipe off the marker. And it just goes on. You heat it up with a little bit of lighter, and you just push it on like you would a bumper sticker or any decal. And then once it's on until you want it to come off. And the colors that they have are the colors that are spit imaging, bait fish, crawfish, any kind of fish that the bass are eating. And they're just phenomenal. I've been with them since pretty much day one. And I still have some from the original that are still on my crankbaits that are like brand new. Not a scratch on them. No hook rash, no nothing.
Yeah, what I like about it is, you know, we all get baits from time to time. Maybe we bought a color or two that we thought was going to be awesome. I'm really bad about this. I'm like, man, that looks awesome. And I don't catch nothing on it. And you can buy some crank wraps if you want to. And you can go to a natural crawfish or a sunfish or
a black crappie.
Right. Gizzard shad's huge here. You know, everyone likes that Strike King natural shad color. Well, with the crank wraps, you can do that in any crankbait you want, just about.
Yep.
You know, you bought one, maybe you thought this chartreuse and blue was going to be dynamite and it didn't work out, but you know, they eat that natural shad color. There you go. You crank wrap it. You know, a lot of guys buy the high end mega bass stuff, and not going to lie, I buy them because the paint jobs a lot of time. But what they don't have a photorealistic finish or anything like that. And I'm not a big guy into buying the KOs and stuff. If you want to have that natural shad look or a photorealistic bluegill on a JDM jerkbait, you could do it less than 5 minutes. It's a pretty cool deal.
You can do it on the boat. I mean, it's so fast. I've got it down where I can probably do it under 2 minutes from sitting down, pulling them out, putting them on, and then fishing. I mean, it's so fast. It's unreal. But that's funny you said the gizzard shad, because that's probably 95% of what wraps are on my crankbaits, jerkbaits, top water. But the other one is a white crappie and black crappie. Those suckers are deadly.
You know, it's interesting you say that. I've noticed this, and it's back to the swim bait thing. A lot of guys really getting in those crappie patterns. I mean, now you got guys, my buddy Kevin Brightwell, KGB Swim Baits, he's got a 2-piece crappie glide coming.
Yes, sir.
And it looks sick, man. It looks just like a black crappie.
Well,
and
if you think about it, what happens when you go crappie fishing?
I end up catching bass.
You always catch big old bass because they're eating the crappie.
Right.
So, I mean, it's genius. I mean,
you remember that video where Greg Hackney was out crappie fishing? This happened 4 or 5 years ago, probably maybe longer than that. And he's reeling in a pretty good sized black crappie, and all of a sudden his line just darts down and just really point. And he catches a giant largemouth as he's reeling that crappie, and it ate the crappie. That was with Zona.
Yeah, I watched this show. Yeah,
that's all you need to know about bass right there. They will eat anything at any time, and they do diet on crappie. And you hear it all the time, guys that are spider rigging jigs or stuff like that. They're pulling crappie out of a brush pile, and all of a sudden they catch a largemouth. Yeah. And you know, I'm a brush pile guy, and I'll be honest, some of the better brush piles I catch bass out of, whole crappie a lot of times out of the year. And I think it's an easy forage for them. They kind of tend to group up, and you know, baby crappie are very edible. They're the size of bluegill. So,
and it's a meal for them.
Right. And, you know, back on our little small crank wraps plug, you know, I'm not sponsored by them, but I'm going to talk about unique things. And, you know, is it for everybody? Maybe not. But you know what? If you're a guy that's fishing tournaments and you truly believe, like I do, to match the hatch, it's very key, especially during the shad spawn and, you know, during crappie season now and when the bluegill spawn. You don't really have to worry about, man, do I have all these bluegill square bills or do I have this shad color? If you can buy a set of crank wraps and you're good pretty much anywhere across the country.
And they're not expensive. They're very affordable. And it's just, it's what exactly. I mean, if you're anything like me, you got old crankbaits that you hold on to because they run right or they hunt different.
Yes.
Or, you know, and they might not be the color that you want them to be for that body of water.
Mm-hmm.
But with crank wraps, you can now put that pattern on that crank and use it on that body of water because you know it's going to catch fish because of the way it hunts. I mean, I number my crankbaits 1, 2, 3, you know, because I know which ones run right and I know which ones hunt better and deflect better. It's just a lot of crankbaits are unique.
You know, I'll be honest, Brent. I'm like that, you know, so I don't number them, but I've got I got boxes full of baits up here. Then I got the boxes that, when I'm fishing a tournament, that's the 6XD or that's the Rapala I'm pulling out or whatever. Because, dude, I'm telling you, you can buy it, and everyone thinks it's just in balsa baits that, those balsa baits, you know, you buy 3 and you get that one special one. I'm telling you, it's in, you know, I'll get some 6 cents baits and I'll have one flat side out of 3 that look just the same that performs just a little bit better.
It's 100%. 6XDs, same way. 5XDs, they're not all the same.
And so when I'm out practicing or goofing off, and I start really catching them on one bait, when I get home, I cut it off and I stick it in my, my Mafia box. You'd probably put yours in your lure lock or whatever.
Yes, lure lock, yep.
And I won't go fish with it again till it's tournament time because I know that bait catches them.
Right.
Then I just pull another one out of the package. But lure lock's kind of a cool deal. I haven't messed with it a whole lot. I'll be honest. I like to stuff as many baits as I can, but I would like to probably try one out just for my old school flat sides and balsa baits and stuff like that. I've read that the material, it doesn't take the paint off or anything like that. And
the Tech Logic it's very unique. It's sticky, but it doesn't leave an oil residue on your baits. It protects them. They don't move. It prevents rust. I mean, it's made out of I don't even know what it's made of. I know it's a soybean based product, but it's super cool. But yeah, but they also have other boxes where you can stack those crankbaits without having the Tech Logic on the bottom.
Yeah, that's something I really didn't know about until about 2 days ago. I was watching a video. I noticed it might have been Gerald Swindle or something, and I'm like, well, those aren't the boxes I've seen.
Yeah.
I've always been a Bass Mafia guy. They're good to me, and I'm pretty loyal guy, to be honest with you. But I'm also pretty much a hoarder too. So I like, my square bill box is overfull. And matter of fact, I'm gonna have to get another one. And my deep divers, it's just I'm a crankbait guy. Right. And I mean, I'm good at it, but I love fishing them. And I like, if instead of putting 20 in a box, if I can fit 40, I'm going to do it. But one thing I feel like it would make you do is if you're a tournament guy, and obviously you are, it can really help narrow down your selection. Because if I put all my stuff I needed to fish a tournament in a skeeter boat, it might run 68 mile an hour because I'm that guy that goes, I think I forgot that. Oh, by the way, I need to add this. Go to the boat. Oh, shoot, I forgot this. And next thing I know, I've got every piece of tackle I own in the boat because I'm afraid I'm going to be missing something.
Well, that's why we all practice. I take everything for practice. So then once I figure out what I'm going to do, then I'm running as light as I possibly can because I don't want too many options after practice if I have a game plan. I don't want to second guess myself.
So. Right. That's also probably, you're a better fisherman than me. Not going to lie about it. My practice seems to never end. But Brent, let's talk a little bit more about some different aspects of fishing. We've mentioned Kelly Jordan. Who are some other guys you kind of look up to, some of your heroes in bass fishing?
I'd be remiss not to say Aaron Martins. I've known A-Mart pretty much since I met him at the 2008 Classic in Shreveport when I was KJ's tackle caddy. And we talk every once in a while, and I hate what's happening to him with his brain cancer and his tumor and his radiation and chemo. But that guy, he's helped me out in the past with, trying to get other sponsors to help me. Sunline for one.
That's what I use. I love Sunline.
He got me on. He helped start the relationship with Sunline, and I'm glad he did. And he's a really good fisherman, but he's a way better person than he is a fisherman. And when he speaks, he's like, KJ, you better listen because it's going to be something intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
Fred Robanis, another one. Brian Clark, he's a Texas guy. He fished the Elite Series for a couple years. And he's also my roommate on for the Opens. Josh Douglas, he's a FLW pro. We started fishing the Opens together as roommates back in 2011. And his career has gone very well for him. And I'm super proud of him. Talk I don't know, pretty regular. I consider him one of my really, really good friends. So
Yeah, I
there's
met
just a
Josh a
lot of
few
people.
years ago. Super nice guy, man. And it was a Kentucky Lake event. It's the one he made the, I believe, top 5 on.
Yeah,
He was in the
Fisherman
tackle store like every day, man. He was super nice, very humble guy. And I'm excited to see how good his career has taken off, as you mentioned. And I think he hit the head on the nail or nail on the head, however you say that. I've been asleep a little bit. I had a nap. I worked midnights. But with Aaron Martins, I've met him twice, and salt to the earth. That's all I can say. I mean, everyone, they go, oh man, Aaron Martins is crazy. Not crazy bad, but his fishing brain, it's unreal what's up there. And a buddy of mine, Ben Parker, joked and said, if you want to know how good Aaron Martins is at fishing, ask him the difference between 4-pound and 6-pound line using a drop shot. And
right.
it's an hour-long conversation, but at the end of it, you're going to go, wow, that made a lot of sense.
Yeah. Like he broke down the sunline fishing line for me between shooter and sniper and sniper crank and all the brand. I mean, the whole lineup that Sunline has. And I was like, all right, Aaron, you got to stop. Because
Yeah.
I'm overwhelmed with knowledge and I'm not going to be able to remember it. KJ calls it brain lock. It's when I get too much information and my brain just it locks up. And I just start not making sense. But yeah, I get random texts from him, even, through this chemo, because we have a lot in common with him with the brain injury now. I got hit by the IED, but he's got cancer. But we have a lot of the same similarities that we both have dealt with, that he is now dealing with, that I have learned to deal with. So it's refreshing to try to help him and tell him it's going to be okay and it's going to get better. And he's just like me. He's super positive and he's eating right and working out and taking care of himself and doing everything he can do to get back.
I think that's one thing about the fishing community that's different than a lot of other sports. I think we have a really good support system. When one of our brothers goes down, we seem to always come together to try to pick them up.
Right. Did you see the GoFundMe? He has over 30,000 in the GoFundMe today. Like it keep raising by 10,000 a day during the Major League Fishing.
Yeah, and that's crazy. I mean, let's just be honest here. Fishing pros are way underpaid compared to other professionals.
Well, you don't get in it to make money. The top 3-4% make money. The rest of them are just fishing because they love it.
Exactly. I wish we could get to that level that, the top 10-20% on whatever tour are always no entry fees, and they basically got a contract, just like a guaranteed contract, kind of like NFL or baseball that, it doesn't matter if you finished 50th in points or first, you're going to get 50 grand. I'd love to see something like that happen. That would be my ultimate deal. But, people don't realize a lot of basically fishermen are independent contractors, and it's a gamble every time they go out fishing. It's legalized gambling. You put your entry fee up, you go try to catch the most fish, and whoever wins, they get the most money. But, if you have a big time health issue or something like that, and you can't go fishing, you don't have any income.
Right.
And Aaron is a great ambassador for fishing. I know he's done seminars and stuff like that, but unfortunately for him, he's in a situation where he can't go do that stuff right now to supplement his income. He's recovering. He's dealing with chemotherapy, and man, that dude's got a lot of prayers for me and the fishing community. But it's always good and refreshing to hear how many people are reaching out to him and trying to help him out. And it would be the same if it was anyone else, I'd imagine.
So a funny story about Aaron is, so I was down in Florida fishing an Southern Opens, I don't know, a few years ago. And I broke down and I called Chris Bowes. I said, hey, I'm broke down. I can't get back in. Can you send somebody to come get me? Lo and behold, here comes Aaron Martin's coming to pick me up, take me back the way in, to weigh my fish in. I was like, and he was like, yeah, once I heard who it was, he said, I'm going. So it's little stuff like that that makes you respect and appreciate somebody.
Yeah, it's unreal, man. I don't know. We got to find some more stuff to talk about. I'm enjoying this, Brent. You're a great speaker, man. I like having guys like you on, and it's my own fault for not doing even more research. But I didn't want to just hammer on and don't take this the wrong way. I didn't want to just hammer on. This is a guy that's a veteran.
You're good.
But you did receive a Purple Heart for your service. Can you kind of refresh guys that are younger guys or whatnot may not know exactly how you receive a Purple Heart, whatnot?
Okay, it's a Purple Heart is an award you never want to receive or plan to receive, because if you get a Purple Heart, it means you got injured in combat by hostile fire. A lot of people that get Purple Hearts don't get to wear it in uniform because they don't get to come back home.
Right. And that's kind of something I wanted, people to know. And I kind of knew that. My wife's side of the family, they're big in the military, mostly Air Force. That's fine. Okay. But a lot of people don't realize if you got a Purple Heart, that does a lot of Purple Heart recipients, they don't get to celebrate it or anything. It's here. So we're lucky to have you on here, to be honest.
Well, I am lucky. I should have died. There was a lot of things that went wrong, but I'm here, and if I can't really explain to you how it was in the beginning, KJ could. I think it would be neat to have us both on it because he's got some stories probably that I don't remember from early on because I met him shortly after I got hurt, like within a year, and met him at Lake Fork of all places, that Skeeter's Owners Tournament, and he'll tell you I couldn't hold a conversation, and he'll tell you I couldn't remember hardly anything. But we've been friends for a long, and we've had a lot of things we've done together.
Have you ever gone hunting with KJ?
I have. I shot my first buck with KJ.
Really?
So
come about November, the text messages start flying into me because I live in deer country, Western Kentucky. We got big deer, and he's always trying to one up me. And he's like, check out this stud. Got this one on trail camera. And I tell him, dude,
he loves hunting.
Yeah, he's took me for a few little tours of some of his hunting land over there, and I always tease him. I'm like, dude, if you got time to take a cell phone photo of a deer in a stand, you ain't hunting. One thing I meant to ask you, I didn't get to earlier. When you were overseas or whatnot, is there any kind of fishing over there in Iraq, Afghanistan, or in the Middle East?
There is in Saddam's old lakes. There's some fishing there, but my job was not to be there to go fishing.
Right.
We were infantry, so we stayed outside the wire, which means we're outside the fob every day.
Mm-hmm.
I have, I don't know, over 750 combat missions in Iraq alone.
Wow.
And it's just, we didn't have time to do that.
Mm-hmm.
We would come back from patrol or mission or recon, or, gosh, we lived outside the wire, and that's what we signed up to do. That's what we love to do. But soldiers do go fishing. The ones that are, don't leave the fob or have time, and I don't hate them for it. I would do the same thing if I didn't have a job where I didn't have to go outside the wire all the time.
Yeah, I've got a couple buddies.
They do catch them.
Yeah, I've seen kind of photos. I was just always curious about that. Did now that you explained to me what exactly you were doing over there, I understand why you weren't fishing and whatnot. But I was always curious: did people over there fish like we did? I know they don't all those countries have bass or whatnot, but if they had a certain species, they like to target the locals or whatnot.
There's a lot of carp. There's a lot of carp that they catch over there. I actually, before September 11th happened, I was in Kuwait for 6 months. And when we got ready to redeploy back to Kuwait right before September 11th, I actually went fishing, deep sea fishing, well, bay fishing or whatever it was, in the Persian Gulf. And that was pretty unique, pretty fun. But after September 11th happened, that didn't happen.
Yeah, I can imagine. So I got a buddy, you might know him. And if you don't, that's okay. His name's Frank Flack. He's a ducket fishing guy. You know Frank?
I'm good with faces, not names.
Well, Frank and his other buddy, Kenny Chapman, they're both special forces guys. And I've known them for a long, long time. I know KJ knows Frank, but they're in the same deal as you. They weren't over there to make a vacation out of it or as you say, stay in the fob. They're in pardon my French, they're in the shit.
Yeah.
And just so much respect for those guys. And you hit the nail on the head. Know what you signed up for. And again, I'm honored to have you on here. I'll be honest, I like new guests. I want to have people on here that the world's not heard of. Okay. I like having people with unique stories and backgrounds. And I like to keep this at about an hour. We've been on here 58 minutes, but Brent, you're more than welcome to come on here anytime. I'd love to hook back up with you after you've fished the rest of the opens and hopefully put some cash in your pocket and maybe get a little trophy or whatnot. And we talk about how it happened.
Well, if I didn't think I'd win, I wouldn't go. So I truly believe that I can win this one.
That's the the Michael Jordan mentality. I don't know if you watched any of that docuseries or whatnot. And, I grew up watching basketball in that Jordan era, but I didn't understand Michael Jordan. He's the greatest of all time. And why I feel that is, you look back on it, every time he stepped on the court, he was going to win. He wanted to win. It was not about my stats. I mean, granted, it was a little bit about his stats because he knew how good he was. But at the end of the day, he's going to win. And he and I think that's kind of why he retired. He was on teams that, weren't winning consistently, when he went to the Wizards and all that. And again, age. But I think so many people, and I don't know how to say this, and I'm not trying to come out wrong, but they go fish tournaments because it's kind of it's the cool thing to do, or they're just trying to cash a check. Me, if I'm gonna go fish a tournament, I don't care if it's a buddy tournament, Tuesday night tournament, or if I was blessed to fish, the opens or whatnot, I'm gonna win. I'm gonna zero a bunch, but I'm gonna go out there with the intent to win.
Yeah, I mean, I'm too competitive just to go fishing.
Yeah, I mean,
in a tournament now, I can go fishing. I mean, even with going fishing with my boy, I mean, I'm not going to ease up on him.
I know. I took my son fishing the other day, and I like to film stuff or whatnot, but I'm like, I'm not going to film this because I'm going to beat him down pretty bad. And he caught like the first 3.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I'm like, this ain't going to happen. I ain't going to have no 7-year-old whip up on me. And after about an hour, he's like, Dad, would you please let me catch one? But I said, that's just my competitive side. That's how it is, And, I played baseball and I loved baseball, but it was always one of them sports I loved to play. But after playing it, when I see it on TV, I'm like, man, I can't. It's boring. But when you're out there,
I can't watch it on TV.
And
the only time I watch it is the World Series.
Right. And not gonna lie, my man was King Griffey Jr. And after he kind of retired, did his thing, I just could care less. And I was a Braves fan. I picked the worst sports teams, man. Braves, Mariners.
Braves were good in the 90s.
They were just like my Tennessee Volunteers. They were good in the 90s.
Yep.
Yeah, KJ doesn't cut me any slack on that. I always just say, hey, remember the Alamo. But Brent, we've been on here right at an hour, and I've got to do some post-production. Man, that went by really fast.
Yeah, it did.
And I'm going to be more prepared next time. I'm going to try to get Kelly on here.
We should do a joint one because
if we could get I'll have to figure that out. I'm sure we'll just do a little Skype group conference, and we can knock that out. I think that would be really awesome. But I'm going to jump off here. Do a little outro for the viewers. If there's anybody you want to thank or anything, just go ahead, let us know. You can sponsor plug away. I don't care.
Yeah, I'd love to take a moment for one, thank my family for their support. My wife, I can't do it without her. She's really supportive. She makes a lot of sacrifices for me to be able to leave for 9 days to go to a tournament. Then my friends and my sponsors, Duck It Fishing, Netbait, Freedom Tackle, Scum Frog, Woo Tungsten, Sunline, Amphibia Glasses, Crank Wraps, Power Pole, Erupt, RTD, Skeeter, Yamaha, and Lure Lock. Without them being on my team, a lot of this would not be possible. And I appreciate the support that I receive from them. They treat me like family, and I am extremely grateful for everything they do for me, not only for me, but only for the soldiers too, because they are huge in supporting the veterans.
Absolutely, man. It always cracks me up. Veterans Day is not the only time to think of veteran. If you see a veteran, think them right then. And I know how much I can just tell it lights people's face up. My wife is really good about this. When she sees somebody in public, an older gentleman, she cuts hair for a living, so she likes to talk, and they talk about service or whatnot. She is like the number one. Thank you for your service. It makes a lot of people feel really good. There's so much negativity that goes on in the world right now, and it's always nice to make people feel good. And it's simple as words. And again, like I say, Brent, thank you for coming on, doing this podcast. Thank you for your service. And dude, got a new fan here, man. I'm going to be rooting for you, and I think some more people listening to this are going to be rooting for you as well.
Well, I appreciate it, and thanks for having me.